All right, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone is enjoying their weekend. For today's video, we're going to cover the weekly watch list, the top setups for the week, and then the overall market analysis with SPY and QQQ ahead of a pretty short week due to Thanksgiving, right? Friday will be a half day, Thursday, the market's closed. So we really only have about 3.5 days of actual market time, and usually Friday, right after Thanksgiving, does tend to be a pretty slow day. So it's likely that we just really have 3 days of some market action. Okay, so let's take a look at the economic calendar for the week ahead, just to have a good idea. All right, perfect. So Monday, not too much to really worry about. Tuesday, we do have existing home sales, and then minutes of the November 1st FOMC meeting. And then Wednesday, we have initial jobless claims, right? Thursday, Thanksgiving holiday. And then Friday, we do have flash services PMI. So overall, pretty light week ahead in terms of economic data. Friday really is kind of the main day with PMI, but again, with it going to be, with the day after Thanksgiving, we do tend to see a pretty choppy market environment, and then, not a ton of momentum. So I will, kind of continue with that mindset. So really Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even Wednesday, right, could be fairly choppy, but Monday, Tuesday definitely going to be really the main focus for this week. Okay. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the setups for this week. We have about 8 of them. So coin is by far my favorite setup of the week. With this test of 100, actually, we have pretty much a double top here at 100, but very constructive price action following the breakout on Wednesday. So Wednesday, we were finally able to clear 96. We tested 100, couldn't quite get through. And then Thursday, we had an inside day, again, constructive price action with the back test of about 95 to 96, where we did hold 96 again, and we closed above. And then Friday, really strong bounce off of that same range of 95 and 96, and we closed at 99.05. So for this week, if coin can clear 100, I'm looking at the 102 calls, really targeting about 102.40 and then 105. I do think coin can definitely see a move in that range. 105, right, is the second target, so we'll be looking at book profit around 102.40, and then if it gets through, 105 should come. But very nice look here on the daily and on the weekly. All right, just got to get through that key 100 level. So pretty consistent volume. For the break of 100, what I would want to see is either a catalyst to support the move or above average volume. If we can get above average volume, really trading above that 50-day average, and definitely should be able to support a breakout through that key supply zone of 100. So definitely going to be a top watch. Keep an eye on that one. Roku is the next one. Pretty similar setup to coin. We're looking at a daily higher high breakout over 93.20. Again, very constructive price action last week, mainly after Tuesday, after it cleared this 86 range. And again, we're right at that high from Wednesday. So if this can get through 93.20, we really don't have much resistance until about 95, which is a psychological level, and then 96. All right, ever since earning, this thing has been holding up extremely well. We had a post-earnings bull flag. We broke through it, and now we're looking for a continuation play through 93.20. And if we do clear it, again, the 95, 96 range should be able to get tested. So this is definitely a favorite of mine as well as coin. So keep an eye on that one. Tesla here, a little bit of a trickier play, but definitely still on watch. I want to see this continue to hold. Really this low of September 27th, which is 234.58. On Friday, we closed at 234.30. Okay, so if we can get through this 234.58 range, reclaim 235, which is the main level of significance for me this week. If we can reclaim 235, then calls should be in play for a move back up into this area of about 238 to 240. Definitely do like it for a push, but again, it has to get through 235 first. So looking at the hourly, I mean, pretty decent price action on Friday. We did see a little bit of resistance at around 237, 238, and we pulled back. But as long as this can hold above 232 to 230 this week, I definitely think it could set up for a pushback coming to 240. But again, it has to clear that 235 resistance. If this does fail at 230 this week, then puts could be in play for a fade back down to that 226, 225 support zone. Otherwise, I just want to see how this holds 230, and definitely will set up for a push if we can get through 235. All right. So Amazon here, Amazon is going to be an interesting play because on the daily, we're looking for 2 trades at the same level, okay? I'm looking at 146. Okay. So with Amazon here, we're looking at 146.20 is the main level. Again, this is the same zone that we traded back in April of 2022. We tested it there in August of 2022, tested it again in September. We had a test last week. Actually on Tuesday, couldn't get through, pulled back, but held a higher low. So with this bounce off of 140, we could potentially hold a lower high here and fade, considering how strong this resistance level is. It's really going to take a positive catalyst for Amazon to get through this range. So 146.20 is definitely the level of significance for me this week. If we don't get through, right, if we do make a lower high at 146.20, we see SPY and the Qs pull back off of levels that I'll mention at the end of the video, then we can look for a fade. If it gets through 146.20, then ultimately we should be set up for a test of 150. There's not a ton of resistance in between this high and 150. Okay, so 150 can definitely come if we do end up taking out that 146.20 range. All right, if we don't, I do like puts for a fade back down into 143.65, and then if we fail there, we have 140 on deck. All right, so AMD is another one of my favorites, and I'm looking at 122.12. 122.12 is this high of July 14th in 2023, and we haven't been able to get back up in this range until recently, especially post earnings on that 100 break. So for AMD, that is the main level to focus on this week. If we can get through 122.12, I do like the 125 calls. Really looking for a push into the 124 to 126 area. So I have targets of 124. Okay, and then I have another target of 125.80. Okay. So yeah, if we can clear this 122.12 range, I definitely do think 124 at least comes, and then again potentially 125.80. So keep an eye on that key level. We do have NVIDIA earnings this week, which can definitely make the AMD breakout a little trickier, but we could be able to move in sympathy with AMD after Tuesday. And if we do move in sympathy with NVIDIA after Tuesday through 122.12, then calls will be in play. If we see a pre-earnings run-up on NVIDIA, keep an eye on that mark, and potentially we could see a trade on it tomorrow or on Tuesday. All right, and then DKNG here, absolutely love the look of this for continuation. Definitely has been able to outperform, and I think this thing is setting up for a push up into 40 here. So with DKNG, I'm looking at a break, really just the high from Friday. Get a level is 38.80. So yeah, if we can get through 38.80, definitely do like this for a push up into 40. We'll be keeping a close eye on this one as well. What I like a lot about this is the fact that we had this candle here on Wednesday, which does signal a potential reversal. We broke that Wednesday's low on Thursday, printed a strong hammer, and then we found continuation through that high of Wednesday. So really strong setup to volume, just absolutely beautiful. So if we can get through 38.80, again, I think 40 comes pretty quickly. All right, now TSM is the next one that I like a lot. We have an hourly consolidation above this key 98 level. Okay, 98, we tested it back in March 22, which is one of the most recent tests besides the breakout in 2020. So we back tested this area of 98. When we broke 98 down, again, we saw a downtrend all the way to about 60 before bouncing. We bounced up into 98 back in January of 2023, pulled back, got through it there on May, rallied, and then again, broke it back down, and now we're back into this range. So with TSM, what I'm seeing here is a higher low above 98. We're seeing a consolidation above 98, so very constructive price action. All we have to do at this point is take out 100. So similar situation with AMD with NVIDIA earnings on Tuesday. Could move in sympathy with it, right? Depending on, again, the outcome of NVIDIA earnings. But if we get through 100, I'm definitely looking for a move into the 10, 102 range on this. So about 170 is going to be the first one, but I'm really looking for a push into about 101.65 to 101.80 on this. I definitely think that can come. But again, let's see what this does early on in the week. If it doesn't get through 100 on Monday or Tuesday, then it's very likely right after Tuesday we'll see a move out of this range. Okay, so under 98 is the support that we have to crack in order to take puts, and then we have to crack that 100 level in order to take calls. So if we don't see a move on Monday or Tuesday, be patient with it. We'll see what it does on Wednesday post NVIDIA earnings. Okay. All right. Another name that I do want to talk about is Microsoft, just because there's a lot of news on this over the weekend. So for Microsoft, this really does have to hold 367, and if we don't hold 367, it can fade back down into about 362.50 to 360. So if we hold 367, the calls would be in play for a bounce. So far, looking at it, right when that news came out, we were trading at around 366.39. News has been developing over the weekend, so let's see where this opens up at tomorrow. But again, keep an eye on that 367 market. That level should be able to provide an entry for a position, whether it's calls or puts. It's just going to depend on the price action. So definitely something to keep an eye on. There's a chart request of Lemonade Inc., LMND. And looking at this one, definitely do like it. And we're holding a higher low on the daily. This is a name that is definitely fairly cheap, around 16 bucks. But looking at the weekly and the daily, we are holding the support of about $10, which is a huge psychological level. Nice pop there off of earnings, and now we have a little bit of a weekly and daily bear flag. So with LMND, this does have to take out 17 ultimately to make a higher high on the daily. If we get through 17, then it is possible we test that high of November 3rd, which is around 1822. So I haven't really looked at this name a whole lot, but just purely basing it off of technicals, I do want to see a higher high on this. Looking at the volume, pretty decent volume on that pullback into that 21 EMA on the daily at around 14. Pretty decent volume on the pullback, and then we have pretty consistent volume as well in this consolidation. So keep an eye on that 17 mark. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can look for a break of the high from Friday. I probably would focus on calls that are in December, or just focus on regular shares. All right. So yeah, again, the top watches for this week really are Coin, Roku. Those two really are my favorite. I definitely do like AMD and TSM, but again, we have NVIDIA earnings on Tuesday, so it could be a little bit trickier, but Coin and Roku, by far my favorite, so keep an eye on those two. And then for SPY and QQQ, pretty choppy week, honestly, post Tuesday, right? We had that gap up on Tuesday and then following CPI, and we rallied right at the open and then ended up consolidating. So looking at this on the hourly, not a whole lot of follow through last week. And with SPY for this week, what I'm looking for is a move through 451.40 to 452. Okay, so we have this range 451.40 to 452 that we do have to take out. And if we do clear the 60-cent range, then 455 can ultimately come. There's not a whole lot of resistance in that range, right? We potentially have 453.50 and then 455. There is a gap fill to keep an eye on from August 2nd, and that high there is 453.52 to the low of 455.50. So definitely could see a move into this range if we can take out right this 451.40 mark and set up for that 453.50, and then 455 can come if we can take out that high. So definitely do like the look of SPY. Pretty choppy though last week, and again can be pretty choppy this week. So in order to take calls, we have to clear 451.40. And then if I'm going to focus on puts on this one, I do want to see this back under, sorry, excuse me. I do want to see this back under about 448 in order to really focus on puts. Okay. Yeah, if it fails at 450, puts could work, but I do want to see some local support get taken out, and that's about 440, 448.50, 448. Okay. And then QQQ here. So QQQ, I'm looking at this one a little bit more closely because it wasn't able to hold up that well like SPY was. Couldn't quite test that high of Wednesday when we had SPY. I'd get pretty close to that high from Wednesday. Now looking at it on the daily and comparing where QQQ is to SPY, with it being very close to the high of 2023, right, which is 387.98, so 388. Definitely setting up for a push. So for QQQ, it's all about 388 this week. If it gets through 388 on volume, 390 should come, and it should come pretty quickly. Okay, so that is the main level that we have to focus on for continued upside in the markets. If QQQ breaks back under 384.20 to 384, then puts will be in play. But I definitely don't want to get too aggressive with puts because buyers have been snatching it up as soon as we break 384.20 and 384. So I do want to be fairly patient with the puts. I would love to see like a back test of that area that fails before getting overly aggressive to the downside. So keep an eye on 384.20, keep an eye on 388 for this week, and we should be able to see some range. All right. But that's it for the video. If you do have any questions, please let me know. But I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow morning, the pre-market live stream. Take care.